Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our May 6th virtual meeting. I hope you're hanging in there during these tough times. I hope you had a good Cinco de Mayo. You're looking forward to a good Mother's Day. We'll begin with a roll call.
Certainly. Mayor Brooke.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah.
Here.
Commissioner Vignola.
Here.
Commissioner Simmons.
Present, making coffee.
Vice Mayor Carter.
Present.
City Manager Babinick.
Here.
City Attorney Hearn.
Here.
Thank you.
Great. We're going to start with a moment of silence, and then I'm going to ask our city manager to lead us in the pledge. Thank you. Frank, if you'll take it away for the pledge. You might be on mute. I pledge allegiance to the
Go ahead,
flag
Mayor. The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. John, if you'd be kind enough to read the virtual meeting statement.
Thank you, Mayor. Due to the ongoing state of emergency result of the coronavirus disease, this public meeting is being held using communications media technology in accordance with Resolution 2020-16 of the City of Coral Springs. The city has taken several measures to ensure the requirements of Chapter 120 Florida statutes, as well as the spirit of the Sunshine Law, is complied with during this unprecedented time. Accordingly, this meeting is available for viewing live on City TV on Blue Stream Channel 725, 25, 25.7, and ATT Uverse Channel 99, online streaming coralsprings.org/City TV, and can be heard live on City Radio 1670 AM. For those individuals who do not have access to view the meeting by any of these means, the city will provide access outside of City Hall at 9500 West Sample Road. If you plan to attend, please practice social distancing, wear your mask, and do not stand closer than 6 feet to those around you. Public comment would be received by phone and email. The local call number is 954-344-5900. To submit written public comment, please complete the form located at www.coralsprings.org/public comment. And for those who you are attending outside at City Hall, there's someone out there that can assist you, and you'll be able to call in. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And we apologize for running late. We had a charter school board meeting that ran a little bit late. So thank you for bearing with us. We have a couple of proclamations. The first one is to proclaim today as National Day of Prayer. May 7th as National Day of Prayer. And the Clergy Coalition of Coral Springs and Parkland is proud to announce the 32nd Annual National Day of Prayer this Thursday, May 7th at 7 p.m. Due to the current pandemic, the event will be held virtually. We'll do our utmost to replicate through the web the same heartwarming feeling that we share when celebrating together in person. You can see here the proclamation. It reads as follows: each year, our community comes together, regardless of our differences in faith, to pray for our nation and its leaders. As a city, we believe there is strength in diversity, and this year marks the 32nd celebration of this national event. Therefore, we, the City Commission of Coral Springs, proclaim May 7, 2020 as National Day of Prayer. And to share a little bit more information about how this occurs, every house of worship in the greater Coral Springs area is invited to participate. There's a youth representative from participating congregations that lead the prayers, while the clergy stands by to lend support. This is a non-denominational event hosted by the Clergy Coalition of Coral Springs and Parkland with the support of the Coral Springs Multicultural Advisory Committee, and it brings together people of all faiths to pray, sing, chant, demonstrating our respect for the world's religion, while praying for our nation, our leaders, and peace in our community. And I can't think of a more appropriate time than to do this, as we've been doing for so many years. So I appreciate the Commissioner's support in proclaiming tomorrow as National Day of Prayer. Thank you. Next is for the proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month, which is the month of May. It's been observed in May in the United States since 1949. It's reached millions of people through media, local events, and screenings. This was started by the Mental Health America organization, then known as the National Association for Mental Health. Each year in mid-March, Mental Health America releases a toolkit of materials to guide preparation for outreach activities during this month. And as you can see from the proclamation, which I'll read, in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month, our city of Coral Springs pledges solidarity with those who struggle with mental health issues and supports their families on their search for hope and healing. Continuing the dialogue, raising awareness, and extending a hand to those living with mental health conditions can be lifesavers. Therefore, we, the City Commission of Coral Springs, proclaim this month, May of 2020, as Mental Health Awareness Month. And I, again, appreciate the support for this proclamation. And for those of you that may be struggling with yourselves or others with mental health issues that you know, love, and care for, please urge them to get assistance. They're not alone. There shouldn't be any stigma associated with the need for mental health. Thank you very much. Next is public comment. Deborah, do we have anyone for public comment?
Mayor, at this time, we do not have anyone signed to speak, nor do we have anyone outside to speak.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. I'm glad that we offered the opportunity. We have several ratification matters. John, should we handle them one at a time?
We have done it globally because you've been kept up and aware of them all, and I could go over all four very quickly. And then if you'd like to, you could do them individually, but the last few times we've treated it almost like a consent. So let me just tell you what they are and
Sure.
all be familiar to you. The first one is extending Emergency Order 2002, which was eliminating delivery restrictions. When our shelves got bare, our big boxes and supermarkets were working 24/7 to bring in and continue to do that, to bring in provisions. So this is allowing them to deliver it as soon as it comes, as opposed to not being able to do it very early in the morning and later at night. So if they have these provisions in, we're allowing them. We haven't received any complaints about that, so we continue that order moving forward. The second one is a third amended emergency order 2020-11. This is our essential business order, and this, what we did here is it was working out with our restaurants and other essential businesses very well, curbside pickup. So we extended that to non-essential, and that has been working well in the last couple of weeks. That's been in place. Our next one is Emergency Order 2020-13, which is the requirement for the use of cloth masks by our residents, or masks, preferably cloth, when they're at their outside in the public and businesses that are essential, or even if they're in their own businesses, if there's other people in there to wear masks as well. And then the last one is adopting Broward County's order concerning the opening up of the parks, which we adopted in whole. The only thing we did not adopt was their requirements on their face mask. Ours were, we kept ours, which adopted the CDC guidelines and the other guidelines I just spoke of. So those are the four that emergency orders that are before you today, Mayor.
Great, thank you very much, John. So may I entertain a motion to ratify all four emergency orders?
Move to approve.
All right, moved by Commissioner Vignola, seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. Thank you. We're next on to our consent agenda. Are there any pulls?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull number 14.
How did I know you're going to pull that, Sean? Anything else from anyone? Okay, seeing none, can we hear a motion to approve the rest of the consent items?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Okay, Commissioner Sarah, item number 14.
I just wanted to thank Jim Riley and the entire committee for the hard work and dedication and commitment they do on an annual basis to bring this very prestigious tournament to Coral Springs. I think it's not only great for our local athletes, but it's a phenomenal thing for our businesses and local hotels and et cetera. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out and once again, thank them for their dedication and commitment to Coral Springs.
That's great. Jim's been leading the effort for many, many years. He never gets tired of it, and they do a great job with it. Would you like to move it, Sean?
I would love to move item number 14.
Great.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Vignola. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, carries unanimously. We're next on to policy formation and direction, number 18, ordinance 2020-107, second reading regarding temporary signs. Does
Mayor,
anybody need a presentation?
Mayor, let me read it. It's an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, amending section 1806 of the Land Development Code entitled Temporary Signs Requirements According to Zoning Districts. In order to extend the temporary rights of way signs pilot program, provided for conflict, provided for severability, provided for codification, provided for an effective date. And what this does is extends our pilot program, which we were planning on making suggested changes in permanency, and extends it to. We will come back with a ordinance on this within 90 days after the governor's emergency declaration is passed. So at the present time, our efforts are going other ways, obviously, and we have to see how this pandemic moves forward.
And Mayor, Julie and Susie are both available for questions should the commission have any.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
And
All right, would you like to move it, Vice Mayor?
I'd like to move this forward. I make a motion to move it forward.
Second.
And there's a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Next is item number 19 regarding rescue vehicles.
Mayor, this is an item that we started working on last year. These rescue vehicles are part of our vehicle replacement program. The fire department, along with our fleet and purchasing departments, along with legal, work on these contracts to procure these vehicles. We use the Florida Sheriff's Association bid for these particular rescues to buy them from REV, who's out of Orlando. This is the same design and the same concept of rescue vehicles we've been buying for the last almost 2 years now. So this is funded and it is part of the vehicle replacement program, and staff will be available to answer any questions if you have any more.
Great. Any questions from the commission? All right, may I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, it carries unanimously. Thank you. Lastly, under policy formation and direction is item number 20, Charter School Management Agreement 2020 renewal.
Melissa, could you give us an overview on this, please?
Good morning. As you just heard on the Charter School Board of Directors meeting, this is our agreement with Charter Schools USA to continue operation and management of our charter school. This is an agreement for 2 years with no material changes from the current agreement language or process. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, any questions from the commission?
None.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. We're next up with Commissioner Communications. Who would like to go first? Vice Mayor, I'll call on you.
Okay. Well, I think that more than ever, these groups deserve accolades and multiple recognitions. So happy Nurses Week and happy Teachers Week. These are two categories that are just above and beyond during these difficult times. Also, I feel that supportive and collaborative is our norm, but all of the departments in this city taking a leadership position to bring us to a higher level of excellence has just been beyond impressive. Participating in the feeding of 700 to 900 families every week is just wonderful. And I just wanted to say how proud I am to work with everybody through this. And if you need to reach me, it's 954-998-4186 or Joy Carter at coralsprings.org. And to all my fellow mothers, happy Mother's Day this weekend. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you very much. So I see your smiling face, Commissioner Vignola. Would you like to go next?
I guess so. Thank you, Mayor. Want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. Obviously, some of us can't go visit our moms and do those things as has been so important for generations. But to all the moms out there, thank you for everything that you've done and that you continue to do. There's no better role model for anybody than a mom. I also want to wish Commissioner Simmons happy Teacher Appreciation Week, and to all the teachers out there working through these difficult times. We all appreciate you and can't thank you enough. Last night we had the, I guess, kind of quick run through for the National Day of Prayer. Staff, I want to thank you for working hard to get this done. If there was ever a time that we needed something like this, this is the time for that. So I thank you for working through all those hiccups and things, and that'll be tomorrow night. I want to let the commission know that Teen Political Forum will be on. We're going to do it through a Zoom type thing, kind of like this, but any kids that want to participate will have to send in their videos in advance, asking a question or ask a question via Twitter to prevent any type of problems or whatever during the event. But I'm definitely looking forward to that, to give the kids something semi-normal at the end of the school year, I think is important. And I want to thank staff also for working with that. And then if anyone would like to contact me, please feel free to call me on my cell phone at 954-632-7544. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sarah?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to echo the sentiments to all of our mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. Vice Mayor Joy Carter, happy Mother's Day. And just hope you guys have a really special weekend, especially since we're all chomping at the bit after a month and a half of being quarantined. But I agree with Commissioner Vignola as well. You know, all those mothers that we can't get to, we do love you. I just wanted to give another shout out to everyone working with our food distribution. You guys have done an amazing job, incredibly organized, and a deep impact not only to our community, but our surrounding cities. And I just wanted to personally thank, I had the privilege of meeting Jeff Burnett, the mall manager for the Coral Square Mall, at one of the past food distributions. And I just wanted to give him a shout out for his leadership and support and helping us make this happen for our residents and the people of Broward County. I just wanted to thank all of our first responders again, everyone working in our hospitals or emergency clinics, the people on the front line at the grocery stores, gas stations, whatever it may be. You guys are doing an amazing job during a very challenging time. And I'm just very, very proud to be a part of this community in this city. And, you know, as we phase into different CDC, like let's say lifting of restrictions, let's just continue to remember what we just went through. We need to all remain positive, like Mayor Brooke has said in the past, but we also need to be responsible. We need to make sure that we're doing our part as we do phase in and continue to practice social distancing and good health and hygiene. I too want to give a special shout out to Commissioner Simmons for his role as an educator and all the teachers, not only within the city and at Coral Springs Charter, but in the county as a whole. You guys are unsung heroes. Once again, another group of people that had to shift and make some adjustments and really deliver. And even though we can't celebrate you guys on our school campuses, please know that we appreciate you. And for those of you out there that may need to get in touch with me or just need some assistance in any way, shape, or form, my cell phone number is 954-612-7114. Have a productive Wednesday, everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Sarah. Commissioner Simmons, amazing teacher. Please share.
I don't know about amazing, but no, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to ask a question before I get into my thoughts and stuff. Frank, for the economic, I don't know the full name. I'm sure you got acronyms, but the Economic Recovery Task Force, is that what
Perfect. That's it.
What is our role, the commission's role in that? Because I know that, just what is our role in that?
So we currently do not have an EDAC group. That group was disbanded before the end of the year and was in the process of being rebuilt. So that economic group would typically be a group that we would use to have take an outlook on the economic conditions in the city. So we formed a economic recovery group that is made up of business owners throughout the city of Coral Springs. The Chamber of Commerce is partnering with our EDO office, Christy Bartlett, and we have several staff that are on this task force, if you will. The mayor is the representative of the commission on the task force because he is the representative for EDAC. So he would have been the EDAC representative as appointed by the commission recently when we did all of our committees groups and a couple months ago. Basically this group is, we're using this group to get the temperature of what the business community is feeling out in Coral Springs. So we have representation from manufacturing, from distribution, from restaurants, from education, from the hospitals, from medical, from property owners, landlords, professional services. I'm sure I'm missing a couple here. Alex Falcone worked with staff to come up with the framework that we'll be working under, consistent with the ICS structure. And really what we're trying to do is make sure we're trying to get feedback from our business community to make sure we're not missing anything, and really just get the feel for what they're seeing, hearing, and feeling out on the street. So that's kind of the purpose for this Economic Recovery Task Force.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess the second question is, obviously the governor has rolled out his phase one reopening plan, if you will, but it's centered on northern Florida, or the northern half of Florida, right? So what are we thinking about, or what are we looking at for us down here? I mean, because it may be one of those things where, I don't know. I mean, we had to piecemeal this thing and lead before, so I'm wondering if that's what we'll need to do on our end as well.
Yeah, it's a great question, Commissioner Simmons. We have a document that Melissa Heller is the author of through our ICS structure that basically focuses around 4 pillars of recovery. And this document is a working document that changes on a regular basis based on national and local recommendations. So originally when we built this document, it had phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Well, we were kind of left out of phase 1. We were allowed to open recreation. So we changed that document now to have phase 1A and phase 1B, where 1A is just recreation and phase 1B will be what the rest of the state of Florida is doing now. We don't know when that time will come. I'm going to go over the numbers here in a couple minutes in the state, and South Florida is meeting most of the requirements. We'll call them recommendations, not requirements. Most of the recommendations set forth by the federal government to start to reopen. There's only one area that is lacking, and that's testing, which is being really ramped up now. So I do think it's going to be before the end of the month that you'll see us engaged in phase one. I know there are some local communities that have expressed to the governor from Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County that they would like that to happen sooner than later. So I'm sure the governor's office is taking a close look at those numbers and the data to make that decision. The one thing I will just reiterate is we need the state to lift it first, the county to lift their order second, and then we can lift and or adjust our order to what we want to see in Coral Springs. So to answer your question, we do have a plan. The plan is in place. We've taken information from the Florida Chamber of Commerce. We've taken information from the federal government. We've taken information from the state and from the county. And Melissa and staff have done a really good job at putting this comprehensive playbook together. So we are flexible and agile to anything that comes our way when it comes to reopening.
Okay, thank you.
And we could share that with you, by the way, if you'd like to see it.
That's what I was going to say. Could you share that with us? And then
Absolutely.
As far as the Economic Recovery Task Force, can we, just want to make sure we're updated on what happens or what goes on with that. Granted, this is not a normal time. And so it's just, and I know that we all get questions and different things like that. So I guess I just want to make sure that we all have information that, would help us be good stewards to kind of help direct the community. So whatever kind of goes on with that group, I would love for us to kind of be in the know. I know the mayor is the liaison, but obviously Sunshine, right? So
Absolutely.
if we can just kind of be kept abreast of what's going on that.
So Josh, I'll have Christy work with Luam and Lynn, and I'll make sure to make that part of our briefing on the briefing that follows the meeting of the task force to make sure you guys get that information. And I know Christy's on and Luam and Lynn are all on. They'll make that happen. And then Melissa and Luam will work together to share the our reopening plan with all of the commission.
Okay, and so I guess, and thank you all for entertaining my questions. I'll keep my comments short. Definitely happy Teachers Appreciation Week. It has not been easy being tech support, definitely being tech support. I have a kid email me and say, "Oh, this video won't load," and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm trying to troubleshoot through email, which is horrendous because you're trying to email with 16 and 17-year-olds. So you'll get an email at 2:00 in the afternoon and they won't respond till 11:00 at night. By that time, I'm asleep. So it has definitely been interesting, but I've seen a lot of teachers take up the challenge, try to get really creative with their lesson plans. Also being cognizant of the fact that, we don't know what these students are going through. And so we're trying to be as, I guess, workable as we can with these students when it comes to their work. One of my students who, during the normal school year, she was actually a really great student. But since we went into the distance learning, she hasn't really been submitting work. And then, we were able to get in contact and she emailed us all and let us know that she had actually came down with COVID. And so, she was like, "Can she make up the work?" And I was like, "Absolutely. Are you feeling better?" Like, I was like, the work, cool, but are you okay? And, so she was fine. And, so it was just, we're trying to do our best. It has been frustrating sometimes. I will admit that it's been frustrating because, sometimes people forget that, when you're so focused on your objective, you forget that there might be other people as well focused on their objectives. And so it's just, I always say, please be patient and be kind with your teachers. They are doing their best. Many have their kids at home too, while trying to get them through school. And so, I hope that this Teachers Appreciation Week, it's actually a real appreciation because of what the teachers have had to do. Thank you again to all of our essential workers. Everybody that's out there doing their job, just trying to provide a service to the community during this time. I know everybody's itching to get back to whatever normalcy there is now, but I would caution that we continue to observe all the CDC guidelines, have our own mask and be protective and still be socially distant. It's I know people are itching to get out, and I can see that, the roads are getting more crowded and different things like that. And, we don't want to do this again. We don't want to have to hunker down again. We don't want to have to get through this and then stop again. Like, that would just be devastating to so many more people than it is now. So I get the need, I get the urgency. No one on this commission, no one in the city wants our businesses or any resident to be struggling during this time. I guarantee you that we do not want anyone to struggle, but we want to save as many lives as possible. And so to do that, we just got to keep holding on and keep observing those guidelines. So people, please, please, please be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient. The last thing I would like to say is, there's a story coming out of New Brunswick, Georgia. There was a young man, sorry, there's a really big truck driving by. All right, it's gone now. There was a young man who was out jogging, a young black man was out jogging, and I guess there had been some burglaries in the neighborhood. Oh, a motorcycle. See, there you go. And there have been some burglaries in the neighborhood, and he was out for his jog, and two people in the neighborhood decided to chase this guy down and confront him. And then they had their weapons, and it came to an altercation. The young man was unarmed, and he wound up shot and dead on the road by these two, a man and his son. And it's a black man. And again, it's another, situation where it's real life to me, because I go running through the neighborhoods. I don't have a Commissioner Simmons shirt on, so people know that I'm your friendly black man running through your neighborhood. And so, that's a realization that a lot of, people have to think about, a lot of black men have to think about, is will someone look out their window and see me running and thinking that I'm running from something? I have to admit, it's not, I've had that thought every single time I go running, is if someone's looking at me and thinking, am I up to no good, which is terrible. I should just be able to go out and go run and come back home. I have to make sure that I wave to everyone, speak to everyone. I have to make sure I don't look like I'm running too fast, or I'm not walking too long in neighborhoods and things like that, because I don't want someone to think that, and then you never know how these things turn out. And so, it's sad that, this family had lost their son. There's media reports that came out that, in the past he had some legal issues, but I don't think that should matter. I don't think that, because of what someone did in the past, that should determine that they should die down the road, for whatever reason, or that should be a pattern for them to be gunned down in the street when they're just going out for a jog. And so I just want to always impress upon everyone to be aware of your unconscious biases, and really try to work within yourself to see past the color of someone's skin and just see them as a human being, because too many times we have young Black people just exercising their right to be alive, and then coming to an end in very tragic ways. So with that, I'll end my communications, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner. Frank, in your discussion today or shortly, will you be sharing with us budget variances and where we are financially?
I will be covering it a little bit, Mayor. We're obviously still doing a lot of that comparisons and looking at that data, because the revenues kind of lag behind a little bit with when they come in. So our budget team does have projections. We can let you know what our current revenues and expenditures look like from a overall percentage perspective. I'll have Catherine give us a very short synopsis of that one when I give my briefing.
Okay, thank you, Frank. So I want to extend my appreciation, as we do so often, to our staff, to our leadership, to every employee. You guys have been doing an incredible job through this crisis. I feel like our community is united, they're informed. Lynn Martzel, you've done an incredible job with messaging, and we've had consistent messages that people can understand. And I can't extend my appreciation enough for each one of you. And it is such a pleasure to work with you all. I want to also thank our executive assistant, Luam Germay. I share with her often how incredible she is, but I really am happy to share with everyone that my executive assistant, our executive assistant that we share, Luam, just has such a great attention to detail, always enthusiastic, great reminders, and you definitely make my job easier, Luam. So thank you for that. We had our first virtual ribbon cutting yesterday. We welcomed a new business in Coral Springs, Gyroville. It's in the same plaza next to Sakura Sushi and Big Bear. Beautiful new plaza on University and about 15th Street. And it went off without a hitch. I want to say thank you and give my appreciation to Cindy Brief, your staff, my former partner, Andrea Jacobs, who's the elected leader of the chamber. You guys have done an incredible job, and welcome to the neighborhood, Gyroville. It's great to see you. We have another Mental Wellness Networking Alliance meeting this evening. It's usually the first Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. And we invite people to share an open dialogue, let people know that they're not alone. We are working on eliminating a stigma that's often associated with the need for mental help. And if you'd like more information about that, you can text me at 954-494-9872. Look up information on Facebook as well. Anybody is always invited to attend, listen in. We do it by Zoom at this time. And we get some great tips and ideas from mental health therapists, from survivors of suicide. And it's been a great way to help people move forward. Hopefully one day we'll eliminate the stigma, at least in Northwest Broward County. We have partners in 211 and lots of different partners in the community. So it's been a pleasure to work on that with a lot of volunteers in the community in my personal capacity, especially because that's how I lost my mom so many years ago. I want to extend my appreciation to my colleague, Joshua Simmons, Commissioner Simmons. You're a teacher as well as a commissioner. You're about to be a dad again. Teachers for many, many years have been my favorite professionals. Now I have to add the military to that. And what you do and what you've all done for my children that my wife and I have raised here in Coral Springs, I can't give enough appreciation to you and all the other teachers. I think you are, you're just a gem in our community. And I wish I could pay you more. I wish as taxpayers we could give you more compensation. But I want to extend my appreciation to you, Commissioner Simmons, and all of the other teachers from the bottom of my heart and from my family's hearts as well. If you need to reach me, you can get me on the cell. I'll repeat the number. It's 954-494-9872. I typically have office hours by phone during this crisis, and you can contact Luam at 954-344-1184 to set up an appointment. They're usually for about an hour and a half on Fridays between 12 and 1:30. About this crisis, and hopefully a couple of words of wisdom. I see that often so many of us, myself included, we have very strong emotions at different times during this crisis for different reasons. And I would just urge everybody to make some allowance for us and each other to have some strong emotions at times. Yesterday, I was unkind to an individual, and 5 minutes later, I was shaking my head at how I treated this young lady, and I apologized to her for my strong emotions. And it's a tough time, for all of us. And like Commissioner Simmons said before, if we can all extend a little bit more patience, I would urge us to extend a little bit more love and forgiveness. We'll get through this even better together. I want to wish all the moms, including my wife, a happy Mother's Day. You guys do an incredible job, like Commissioner Vignola said. Our families revolve around you, and I know this is a tough time for so many of you. You've now become a teacher, many of you as well as being a mom and whatever other roles you may play. So I want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day. I think that's all I have, other than my constant message during this time is to stay safe, stay informed, and stay positive. So with that, Frank, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commission. I want to start off just by commending and recognizing our staff for their dedicated service throughout this crisis. They're doing an incredible job. a lot of times they come to us and ask what else they can do instead of shying away from work. They ask for what else they can do. Before we go any further, I just want to highlight, two incidents that took place that are very saddening. We lost one of our telecommunicators in Broward County, BSO. Uh, Broward Sheriff's Office lost a telecommunicator to COVID early. She contracted it early April. She was only 41 years old. Nakima Thompson passed away day before yesterday from COVID. Also, last week we lost an icon in the fire service. Fire Chief Don DiPetrillo lost his battle with COVID. He's spent several decades in the fire service. He's connected back to Coral Springs. He helped us when our fire department was converting from a volunteer department to a paid department back in the late 90s. He came in as a consultant and helped out with that. He was currently the fire chief for Seminole Tribe. He's being laid to rest today. I would just ask, Mayor, if we can, to just take a moment of remembrance for our telecommunicators, our public safety servants, and anybody who has lost somebody to this, just to give them a quick moment of remembrance.
I appreciate that, absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. In this time, we always say in emergency services that we have to learn from every event, and in the city we look at that as well. So I would ask that our city staff, learn from this event, take this event, and allow it to strengthen our vigilance towards protecting ourselves, our fellow workers, and our family and community members by making sure we're practicing social distancing, make sure we're practicing proper levels of PPE, and really pay tribute to those that have lost their lives. And I think that's the best way that we can show their coworkers and their families that their deaths, were led to something. Hopefully, that will save others. As we look at the cases in the state of Florida, we're up to 37,439 cases in the state of Florida. Our daily numbers are kind of up and down, but they have been trending down a little bit. Whenever you hear us talk about trends in cases, one of the things that we try to do is we look at the overall trends and not just the daily cases. So when we look at testing levels, for example, testing in Florida, we look at the number or percentage of tests that come back negative and the percentage that come back positive as compared to those that were tested. And really the goal that the target range we're looking for is 10% or less. The state of Florida is at 8%. So 8% of those statewide that test come back negative. For Broward County, we're at about 10%, which is down. We were hovering at about 12% for several weeks, and that has come down to 10%. So looking at those overall trends, we want to see that downward trajectory of new cases as well as the percentages of those testing positive. Broward County right now, we're at 5,300, just over 5,300 positive cases. Unfortunately, we've had 215 deaths, and we're at about 1,000 hospitalizations currently. When we talk about the 5,300 positive cases or positive residents that we have in Broward County, that's not from the start of this event. That's not how many people we currently have that are positive for COVID-19. That's how many people that have been positive throughout the duration of the event. We do not have the information on the recovery rates at this point. So a good portion of that 5,300 have either recovered or are in the process of recovering at this time. The other interesting thing is, they're tracking the cases by gender, and it's almost a 50-50 split amongst male and female of who are getting the the virus. So we continue to look at these numbers. We have a data and analytics team that looks at them on a regular basis. And a lot of the decisions we're making, as going back to Commissioner Simmons' comments, a lot of the decisions we're making are based off of these trends and the data that is out there. Every decision we make is in the best interest of the safety, health, and wellness of the community and the members that are serving the community. So this week is there's a lot of different professional recognitions. A lot of you guys have hit on that already, but I would just like to, on behalf of staff, I would like to thank all of our teachers for all of their hard work and everything that they do. It's Nurses Week, so I'd like to also thank our nursing profession. A lot of times, the nurses are the ones that are at the bedsides of patients at their most critical and in need at times, and they're the ones comforting our loved ones. So we want to thank them for all of their hard work and everything they do. We were fortunate enough to join Broward Health Coral Springs the other day on Monday when the nurses were coming in. For some of the nurses were leaving or coming in for their shifts to greet them and to say thank you to them. We would have been presenting some department recognitions during this meeting, but because obviously we're virtual, we're not doing that. But it is National Police Week, May 10th through the 16th. Our police officers do a tremendous job in protecting our community, and I just would like to recognize them, and just thank them for their service, and also remember those that have fallen and given their lives in the line of duty that normally would have been observed in Washington, but obviously because of this pandemic, that's not going to happen. But we do want to thank the men and women of law enforcement. Emergency Medical Services Week is coming up. As you know, that's something that's near and dear to my heart. Our staff and EMS professionals from around the world here in Coral Springs, they just do a tremendous job in serving the community from a fire and EMS standpoint. And thank you to all the men and women of emergency services. April 29th through the 25th was Crime Victims' Rights Week. Typically, that's something we would have also brought to the commission, and we want to make sure that's being recognized. Victim advocates and valued service they provide to Coral Springs community is just tremendous. Some updates since the last commission meeting. We launched the Give Where You Live campaign in partnership with the Community Chest. The goal is to raise funds for residents and local businesses so we can help them. Right now, we have not raised a tremendous amount of funds, so unfortunately, the application process isn't open yet. We need to raise some more funds before we can start helping out others. So anybody who's listening that can help advocate for raising some funds through the Community Chest for the Give Where You Live campaign would be great. We really want to open up the application process, but we're just not ready yet because we don't have the funds to assist at this point. And once the application process is ready, Lynn and her group will send out some notification as to what that looks like and how to do that. It'll be an online process. Joy, you hit on it. Vice Mayor, the food distribution is very successful. Staff is just doing an amazing job at organizing that and putting that forward. Anywhere from 700 to over 800 families every week come through there and get much needed food. I just want to thank staff, Feeding South Florida, the Coral Square Mall, and our waste hauler, Waste Pro, for everything that they're doing. They're doing an amazing job with that, and it's great collaboration of helping the community. We launched the Small Business and Loan Grant Assistance Program. I'm pleased to report that over $200,000 was awarded to local businesses since we launched that program. The amount is probably higher. The reason I say that is businesses are under no obligation to report back to us after we help them and assist them in doing the applications. The only way we find out is if they do report back to us. So At this point, we have businesses reporting back over $200,000 of assistance has been awarded. So far, there have been 259 businesses that have enrolled. 81 businesses returned their hold harmless forms, allowing us to continue to assist them, and 77 businesses are being connected with grant and loan applications. This has been a tremendous effort by all of those that have been involved. Great job, and we will keep up that hard work in assisting our businesses. The we talked about the Economic Recovery Task Force. The one thing I do want to touch on, I had used the term EDAC before, and EDAC is our Economic Development Advisory Committee. So I used that acronym before. I just want to make sure that the folks on the commission meeting knew what that stood for. We covered that already, and the Coral Springs Community Redevelopment Agency met on April 30th to discuss options to provide emergency financial assistance to businesses within the CRA. The current redevelopment plan does not allow for this type of activity, but the board expressed interest in beginning the process to amend the plan. So that's being looked into. As a reminder, the CRA only represents about 1% of the city. So it has a very limited budget and a very limited area of assistance, but they're trying to do whatever they can to provide assistance as well. The city's partnered with Broward Health, Coral Springs, and the Chamber to come up with some different ways that we can help businesses reopen safely and providing education and training and materials. We're working on a program to get some masks, reusable cloth masks out to our local businesses so the workers can protect themselves and protect their patrons. Broward Health and the Chamber are working with us on that. As you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We've always been committed to the mental well-being of our employees and residents. I'd like to, at this point, Sean Kahn, who is one of our mental health professionals that he advises us on, was going to be on the call. Unfortunately, he had an emergency call out with one of his patients and could not be here. I'll reschedule him for the next meeting so he can come in and talk to us. One of the things I do want to ensure that is covered is we are constantly working with our staff and all of our mental wellness professionals. We're very fortunate to have a clinicians response team that's made up of very caring mental health professionals that's available to our staff. We have a very robust mental wellness program in the city of Coral Springs, and we'll continue to make sure that that stays in place for all of our employees. Our websites continue to have information on where folks in need of mental wellness services in the community can reach out and get those. The mayor touched on that earlier. There are groups out there that are providing great resources, so I apologize on behalf of Sean. I know he was looking forward to be here, but obviously, he had to take care of something that was urgent. I just, in closing, I'd like to actually one more thing before I talk about that. One of the things that is extremely important throughout this process is testing and tracking. We continue to work on the testing procedures with Broward County, and we continue to look for opportunities here locally to get more and more testing available. Tracking is just as important as testing. And what that means is, God forbid you get diagnosed with COVID. One of the things you want to be able to do is go back to those that you've had contact with within the last couple of weeks and let them know, hey, listen, I was just diagnosed. You might want to keep an eye out or go get tested so you don't become a carrier and somebody that's spreading it. So we're releasing today Coral Springs encourages residents to keep a journal throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. And basically, our communication and marketing department is going to get this out there. But basically what we're doing is we're asking everybody to kind of just keep a journal of where you're going and who you've been in contact with. That way if unfortunately you do get diagnosed with COVID, you're able to let those folks know that, hey, listen, I've been diagnosed. You need to look out for signs and symptoms, maybe go get tested, and it'll help with that contact tracing element, if you will, throughout the community. So that's something that's very important, and you'll see more information coming out from our communications and marketing department on that. I'd like to thank the commission for their continued support. Um, I commend our staff on their outstanding work, and I'm very proud of what they're doing. But I also just want to say thank you to the commission for being great representatives of those that have elected you. You guys always ask great questions. You're constantly involved and up to speed and up to date on what's going on. Very supportive of the efforts that are being put forward. So be happy to answer any questions. Staff's here to answer any questions you guys might have on any of the COVID response that I did not cover.
It's our pleasure, Frank. The only question that I have is somebody sent me something about another strand of the virus. And I don't know if you saw or heard anything about that. And supposedly it became more virulent in March.
So one of the things that there are multiple strands of coronavirus that they've existed for years. COVID-19 is a new strand of the traditional coronavirus. I have not heard anything, Alex. I don't know if you have, if you have any information on that, but I have not heard of a new strand of COVID-19 that's more resistant or more resilient, if you will, towards treatments. I have not heard that. And then, Mayor, also I want to, before we finish up the questions, I want to give Catherine a chance just to give us a quick overview on the budget, as you asked before. I just remembered that. But Alex, do you have you heard anything on that?
Hey, Frank, thank you. I did read a news article that they're following kind of some different signatures. Viruses naturally mutate, and based on those mutations, they can use it to kind of trace epidemiologically where this virus has come from. As far as it being more resistant to treatment, I haven't heard of anything along those lines. And it still is the same virus. It's still COVID-19, but it's not, you can follow that kind of mutation to see where it's been. So they're going to use it for tracing purposes, but we'll continue to look into that.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that. You want to bring Catherine to the mic now, Frank?
Sure. Catherine, do you want to just give us kind of a quick snapshot of where we are with the budget process?
We have, as I said in April at the workshop, we're looking at 2 different fiscal years, the current fiscal year that we're in right now, and having that information come in. We are still looking at before this happened. That's the revenues that we are actually receiving in. My team is looking right now at the April results, when at that point, that's when we're seeing some of our closures and the impact of our budget with our closures. So we are currently looking at all of that. We, on a monthly basis, with or without the pandemic, we meet with city staff, city manager's office to go through those financials, which we'll be doing in the next week. We also, in this next week, have budget meetings with all the departments, which this has been a really trying. I'm sorry, we're having a social studies exercise right now so that he can actually watch with me on a commission meeting. Sorry.
Happy Mother's Day.
And so we are meeting with department directors. They've done an amazing job. They're looking at multiple scenarios. The one piece that we've gotten information back from the state on is just more or less, they are letting us know, all the different municipalities in Florida, that it's too early still for them to give us their projections for next fiscal year. And we are to check back with them June and July. So what does that mean for us? That means that I'm building a budget off of just what are the local other budget and finance directors doing. We have been meeting, and we're looking at figures such as 25% drop in sales tax revenue. So until we actually see that drop happen, which we're probably not going to see till June, we're just doing ranges for a lot of things, and that's what the budget, that's what the other departments are doing. So with a 25% drop in sales revenue, that's very substantial. That is where departments are having to go and look at their service levels. They're having to say, what is essential, what types of things that we can be doing technology wise to take advantage of that. We know this is temporary, so what kind of short-term adjustments can we make? So I really appreciate the input from all the different department directors for their current budget to try to reduce by 3% their operations, as well as looking into next fiscal year, having multiple scenarios as we are still awaiting information back. So thank you very much to my staff and other department directors.
Thank you, Catherine. So did any of the commissioners have any questions for Frank or for Catherine?
No, I just want to wish her a happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Good. Wonderful. Frank, anything further from you?
No, I just like to remind our residents, please stay connected and informed through all of our social media platforms, as well as on our website. Our communications and marketing department push out a tremendous amount of information. If you can't find the information, you can call one of our helplines and get that information. We're here for our community, and if you need us for anything, please reach out. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We're on to the city attorney's report. Thank you very much, Frank, for your amazing leadership.
Thanks, Mayor. I have no legal updates. I do want to highlight the incredible job that staff is doing under the leadership of the city manager, and as well how much easier this commission makes it for us, because the support is fantastic, the unity is fantastic. You know, it's times like this when there's a lot of stress that teams either get weaker or stronger, and I feel we're forging a very, very strong team that continues to grow. So thanks everybody for that, and nothing else, Mayor.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for a wonderful meeting and for everything you do for our community. God bless you all. God bless our community. Have a great day. We're adjourned.
Take care.